So if a leader is saying that I am approachable and nobody is coming to them, and it's time for that leader to go on his own walks and ask people, pick up small conversations. I would start with family conversations or friendly conversations first, and then just make that transition to what shall we do about this work task.
Would your team say you're an approachable leader? If you take time to think about it, this episode is for you. In today's episode, you'll learn how to be an approachable leader. Learn what it truly means to be an approachable leader and why it's important. From strategies to encourage idea sharing to mastering the balance between authority and approachability. We explore the nuances of being an approachable leader. Our guest, Hari Murali, is Head of Marketing of Zoho's operating system for business, the all-in-one suite, Zoho One. This is the Culture of Leadership podcast. I'm Brendan Rogers. Sit back and enjoy my conversation with Hari. These are my 3 key takeaways from my conversation with Hari.
We have this thing called Transnational Localism that our CEO is trying to imbibe into Zoho, which means that whichever country people are looking at Zoho, it should feel like the company is from that country. So that way you have employees from there, you talk, the people get on a phone line, you talk the local language, and it feels like Zoho is from that country. So that is something that we are driving towards. So that when the number of employees in the regions grows, they are going to be the people who are going to be more front-facing. So that reduces chances of people from the center traveling. But it's a good thing to have. It's a good problem to have. So though the travel has reduced, so let's say before lockdown, if I were traveling, say 4 or 5 times in a year outside of India, now it's maybe 2 or 3 times. So that's how, or the Zoho conferences.
What's the term? Transnational?
Yeah, so transnational localism. So that's not sure if it was a concept that was coined by our CEO or if it's something that's out there. But it means like transnational means moving out of your nation, and localism represents how things are local from one country to the other. There is a change in culture, change in language, and all of that. So transnational localism is again trying to make Zoho feel like whichever country people look at Zoho, it should feel like Zoho is from that country. So we will still try to maintain some Indianness, like we are from India, but we also are very open to embrace the culture of the world. So that is something that we are going after. So made in India, made for the world is one of the taglines that we use for the Zoho itself. And it reflects Indian culture in some way, because if you look at Indian culture, we are like a really diverse country. Like every state is almost like a different country, and we really celebrate diversity. So that way, being open to the cultures of the world and wanting to understand that culture and be a company that seems like it is from there is again a testament to following the Indian culture itself in terms of embracing diversity.
Yeah, it's a really interesting term, transnational localism. It's not something I've heard of before, but in relation to our broader topic today about being a approachable leader, it feels like that mentality can make you an approachable company within the local area. What's your take on that and linking it to approachable leadership?
Yeah, definitely. So the thing is, when you think about a team, right? So I would say there is this thing that the company, the team is like my family, but I think that's taking it a little too far when it comes to a team inside a business. So I would consider a team and a business more like a sports team, more like how we would treat a sports team, where a sport has a particular purpose to win and compete with the other teams out there. And the team needs to feel like they are friends and they have a bonding between them, which is spearheaded by a leader who builds about that kind of a trusted environment in a team to share each other's qualities. So everyone is going to be different and diverse. So that is how good teams are. So you can't have, for example, a cricket team with all 11 batsmen. You need to have the top batsmen. You need to have the good bowlers. You need to have those people who can do a bit of both. So diversity is very important for companies also. And then because of this whole transnational localism and because of how in Indian culture itself we embrace diversity, so stretching that from the team to a company level to making Zoho feel like a company that is built out of a particular country itself, I think it does totally connect. So one of the advantages of being Indian is we grow up in a diverse environment all our lives to different languages and all of that. So I think that gives us an edge overall in the global scale, where we are able to communicate in English, communicate in two more languages apart from our language. So that way we enjoy that advantage of being open to diversity, which can be difficult if you are from other countries that follow a strict culture and they haven't really gone out much or don't have many languages to deal with. So that's my take.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I definitely agree about that diversity in India and Indian culture. As you know, I had very fortunate privilege of spending about a month in India, different part of India to where you come from, but geez, it was a fantastic experience, and the diversity that I experienced at that time, long before diversity was cool. Anyway, in regards to the other thing, Hari, I found quite interesting, an Aussie and an Indian talking, it took us literally only a few minutes for cricket to come up.
I cannot resist that. I'm a hardcore cricket fanatic, and I know
when
you hear us an Australian, I need to bring in cricket into this conversation.
Look, we love our cricket. Aussies love their cricket, but you Indians are bloody mad for it. It's unbelievable. I was actually over there again when I spent that time in India when Australia was constantly playing India, and it was just an absolutely awesome experience.
Yeah. We are totally mad about cricket. So that's it's crazy, like that too, with the IPL going on and all that. And now I think we have the World Cup coming up. So it's always there. Cricket talk is always perennially there whenever there is a team environment also.
Absolutely. Hari, when we talk about this approachable leader, like what does that mean to you, this term approachable leader or being an approachable leader?
I think being an approachable leader means that you need to maintain your own personality as a leader in such a way that there is always a trusted environment or a trusted channel for all your people to not have inhibitions to come and approach you whenever they have trouble or a problem. Rather than, I think a leader needs to back up his team instead of barking down. So that's like if you say a manager is always barking down at me, instead of that, I think it needs to be backing up people and pulling them from their shells and making them feel comfortable to share their failures more than even their successes. So that's, I think, when you talk about success, anything that is successful, I think it should have gone through a lot of failures, and only when failures are celebrated and there is openness for people to discuss about their failures, you will tend to even proceed towards success faster. Or if there is a manager who is always barking at people like, what is this? This is a shit job. This is what have you done? And all that creates this shell around people that, am I doing something wrong? Is this something, if I go and talk to my manager, is he going to bark at me again? Is this right or wrong? So that is not a good place to be in for somebody in a team. So I would say an approachable leader, more than anything, has to in fact talk about his own failures to his team often than his successes. So that tells the team that, look, he is talking about his failures and he has failed and that is why he is here. So it is okay for us to experiment, and whenever I'm stuck, I can easily go to this person and say that, look, I'm stuck here, so what should I do? And instead of barking down on people who are being stuck, you need to listen to them and try to then relate to where are places where you might have failed or you might have faced this situation. Talk to them about that and then make them feel comfortable that this is all right. So you just have to put your mind a little bit more. And these are certain things I think that we can do. again, that we word, right? That's in terms of communication. I find that as much as possible, if you can replace wherever you use I when you're talking and turn it into a we sentence, that creates a lot of difference. So an approachable leader, what does it mean? Is someone who develops or keeps always a channel open to his team, where whenever a team is stuck, they don't hesitate, but immediately they can simply think of just coming and walking up to you and saying, look, this is where I'm at, and what can we do about this? What can we do about this? Instead of what can I do now? So
You spoke a bit in that sort of explanation around sort of sharing the mistakes and that word being vulnerable and stuff. How important is that in regards to approachability?
oh yeah, being vulnerable. So being consistent and vulnerable. I think consistency in your way of dealing with people actually plays a very key role also. So if you don't want to be someone who one day is very amicable and friendly, and suddenly you come to office with some other thing that has riled you up, and then another day you are a stringent person and asking for updates and all of that. So that can again confuse people. Like, what is this guy? Is he in a good mood or bad mood? And it can be difficult, but I think there needs to be a balance where once a leader goes into an office environment, he has to put all of his other problems away and be consistent with how he interacts with his people in terms of his personality, in terms of body language, in terms of even simple things like just smiling at people, putting people first, and all of that, and vulnerability. So realize this consistency is one, and vulnerability, yes. So you need to create this environment where you say that I'm also human. So I have also been through what you have been through. I have had managers who have given me orders, and I have been an executor at one point of time. I have made a lot of mistakes. So that, I think, makes you relatable as a person. So when somebody joins new, and because of a lot of times, what happens is because of this white hair appearance that I maintain, the people, when they first see me, they think that this guy is all gray hair, and I don't know whether he's approachable and all. So I need to break that first. Though this helps me when I go to conferences and some senior guy is coming, that is different. But with my team, when somebody joins new, they have this hesitation that what is this guy about? So I generally try to actually, whenever somebody joins my team new, what I do is I change the seating so that that person is next to me. So during their first few days, and that way I get to know more about what they are when they have joined the team fresh, and so I get to interact with them more, and I particularly make it a point to talk about what they have done, where they have failed more than anything else, and have a good banter about it. And that puts them down, makes them feel comfortable. And once they are tuned in, and I know that now this person is comfortable, then we rearrange the seating according to the other priorities they have. So these are very minute things, but it can actually have a huge impact. A simple matter of just changing the seating so that someone is new in the team, you get them closer to you and get to know about them a little bit more, and try to figure out what is this personality about, what are their strengths, who else can they work with better, since I think a manager needs to know how each of his team personalities are. Who is like the silent one, who is the more animated one, how will somebody new, who can he work with better. So those things are something that need to be continuously be monitored.
How long have you been doing the sitting next to you? That sounds like a fantastic idea. And how long, and what impact have you seen over the time compared to when you weren't doing that?
So I've had I would say I have been lucky in Zoho to have like really good leaders. I have always had leaders who have backed me up, and who have not, I have not faced many situations of being barked at, or like what is this and all that. So I have learned most of whatever I am today as a leader. I think I would credit a lot to those people who showed me. And in fact, it was my one of these managers that I had who used to follow this, and I observed that. So this is an observation, and when I thought about it, it's such a simple thing. So somebody is new, and anyone who is new, they would all feel good when they have a connection with the top line person in the company or in the team, right? So let's say if the new joinee is supposed to actually be mentored by someone else, in that case, what we would try to do is have that person sit beside me on one side and the mentor on the other side. So it is just a very small strategic move that we do, but that way together we are able to figure that person out. And this is one thing that is an advantage of working in office, that in the virtual world it becomes difficult. Like when we talk about remote work. So in the remote work world, to mimic something like this is difficult. So that is why I think sometimes I campaign for working in office for these kind of things that are only possible in office. So I've been following this probably for, so I've been in Zoho since September 2009. So this is my 14th year in Zoho. So I would say that the first person that I started, so the first time I had somebody mapped to me and reporting to me was in, I think, 2011 or so, 2011, 2012. And from 2013 or 14 onwards is when there is only one or two people, that person has to sit beside you. But when we got to a situation where now we have like 14 people in the team, so when it crossed that 6 or 7 and when we had new people coming in is when I started following that. And it surely does have an impact to at least have that person be beside you for one of the first 2 months of their incubation into the team, so that you get to understand them better by sitting closer, not like really looking at their laptop or anything, but just turning this way and asking, so how is it going? So how is this work moving on? Anything that we can talk about. And then also having those side conversation of, did you watch that movie recently, and all of that. So that is another key part, right? So when you think about a good leader should put people first. So what is this person about? And once you have figured that person, then you say, okay, this person is going to be good for these tasks. So first step is to put that person in front. What is this person about? And that is about having these small conversations on their family. How are they doing? Are you a movie buff? Do you like sports? All of that. So that gives you actually an understanding of how this person is, and in fact give you more information on what tasks that they could be good at, to figure out how, when you start delegating tasks, what are some tasks that they could fit in. It has a lot to do with what that person is about also. That is why that's having someone sit beside you when they're joining the team afresh. I think it would give you that close, real proximity to know them better.
Yeah, really some great ideas, great strategies, absolutely. Do you think of your approachability as a leader different in the wider organization versus being that approachable leader for your team? And if so, what sort of mindset shift do you need to have, or what sort of strategies do you use that are different in the team to be approachable versus maybe the broader organization?
Yeah, when it depends upon the team size, right? So when your team size is say 10 or 12, then it is easier for you to change the seating and all of that relative to having people working on some projects sit close to each other and all of that. But when the team gets larger and when you're working cross-functional with other teams, I think the scenario changes. So then it is more to do with how effectively you are communicating with the other teams more than anything else, apart from this seating and other things. So there it depends a lot on effectively framing the right sentences, be it verbally or through a chat channel in a group. So, and what I do is sometimes when, let's say, we are working on a project and there are 10 people in that group and there is something that is escalating out of control, and I notice that 2 or 3 people are not really aligning on certain exchanges they have, I try to create a parallel group with only those people and try to address that problem with them separately, aside of that main group. So the thing is, what I notice is it gets a little tricky when there are more and more people in a group, and there are exchanges happening in the group, and two people are at loggerheads all of a sudden inside of a larger group where others are all viewing as spectators. So it is better to then pull those two people out and say that, okay, looks like there is something that is happening between you two. So why don't we have a three-way here and try to distill those tensions, and then you can go back to the main group and continue. Because if you let that exchange keep on heating up in the group, it has the effect of the others viewing the group also get into a mood of, let me also add to the fire here. And then it becomes a wildfire inside that group. So before it becomes a wildfire, it's better to take those people who are fired up and cool them down so that it is doused here. And when you're back to the larger group, it's a more calmer atmosphere once they're back. So this is also something over the years I have gotten to learn, but at times it does get a little out of hand if you are having too many different groups of people. Like here is a combination of 3, here is a combination of another 4. And then you have to be mindful about who are the spectators here, who are the spectators there. So that needs to be a balance. Like you cannot have 20, 30 groups and you are supposed to sit and manage the dynamics of different people. But at least when things are escalating, you separate people out, call them to a room. Best is to have an in-person conversation if possible. Like take them to a room and say like, what's going on? So it seems like something is amiss, and why don't we sit and iron this out? If it is not possible to do that in person, then I guess you create another separate group, have a audio call, conference call, and try to distill tension. So that I think from an organization point of view, when there are more teams involved and cross-functional work that is involved, I think this is another strategy that people could follow, to have a main group and have certain other levels of groups where we can have these separate conversations and keep the overall temperature calm in carrying out the work.
Hari, can you be this term approachable leader, but still get the best out of your team, have a high-performing team, expect high performance?
Okay, so the question is, I think what you mean is sometimes approachability can tend to become somebody is too friendly a person as a leader, so people take advantage. And so where do you balance?
I'm asking you, where does that balance sit for you? Can you be approachable but still get performance from your team, or is it a case of, well, actually you need to be less approachable in order to get performance of your team? In your experience, where does this balance?
Yeah. So I think these are two different things. So approachability and being able to draw work out of your team I think approachability doesn't have to be that you should be an authoritarian to get people to meet deadlines. Like that's the thing, right? So that barking down, have I ever been in a situation where I have become irate and raised my voice? Yes, I have been with some people, because if I see somebody really slacking off, and I don't let that slide for too long. So I give them a little bit of benefit of rope. In fact, go on first, tell them, being an approachable guy, that look, it seems like you're really not up there. These are things that you are supposed to have met. You have put in a lot of efforts, but I think somewhere there is a slack going on. So why don't you correct yourself? But if after 2-3 times it continues, then I actually pull them into a room and I don't mince my words too much and say, what you're doing is not acceptable in terms of where we are supposed to be. And if this continues, then I might have to put myself in a situation where I might ask you to find a different tea. So I just calmly say that, instead of you're fucked up and you're this and that and all that, and just make it calm. Just have this professional way of conveying that there is more expected out of them as an adult. And you are an adult, and we have given you this freedom to work in your own pace with your own personality style. But there needs to be something happening at least. Like outcomes cannot be guaranteed, but effort needs to be there. if efforts are missing and you are just whiling away, and if I find that you are deliberately whiling away your time, I am going to say this particularly. I think there's nothing much that needs to be said. You could have been a friend, you could have gone for a movie, all of that is different. But when it comes to work and efforts missing, I think you just need to call them in and calmly tell them that this is unacceptable. And if this continues, then maybe a different team would be better for you. So that's better than, it's a better way of putting it than saying you will be fired and stuff like that. So it's that's what at least I've been following.
Yeah, it makes sense, mate. You talked also about consistency, and you also shared that, hey, you're not a perfect human like all of us. We're not perfect, that we can maybe raise our voice or get a bit cranky around things. What do you do in that situation if you have reflected on something and said, you know what, I've lacked consistency in that. How do I recover as a leader? What should I do?
I mean, see, in a very philosophical way, I think all of us are trying to figure ourselves out continuously, right? So I think none of us can confidently say that I have figured myself out and this is what I am. So it's a continuous process. Figuring yourself out and being a better person is a continuous process. And more than anything, only the people from outside can actually tell you how you are improving or bettering yourself as a person. So self-analysis you can do to an extent, but only from outside people can actually observe you, and the outsiders are the ones who can actually tell you whether you are improving or not. So what I would do if I feel that I'm being inconsistent, or if I have a feeling that I'm not being in the right mindset, or I've went astray, I have a couple of trusted people in my own team who have been more working for longer with me. So I'll go to them and ask them, so recently, do you find that there are some things that I'm not doing right? Do you have any suggestions? Do you notice anything in me that has changed? Now, since you know me for some time, so why don't I have a couple of people like that? Sometimes, even before I can go to those people and ask them, they would tell me, they would proactively tell me that this is not your zone and something is amiss. So is there something that you need help with? They would ask me. So looks like something is bothering you, or this is not you. So what is it that is happening? Do you have anything that is there? Because even the managers and leaders need that people to bounce their things off, right? We are not gods, so we still are human, and we need that bouncing person also. So that is what I would do. I would go to those couple of people that I trust within the team, or even some friends that I might have, and iron it out, like have a conversation and say, I know something is triggered off in my head, so why don't you pull me back down? So it's all a give and take.
Have you got some insight that comes to mind on an example of that, where somebody's maybe come to you and said, hey, Hari, you're being inconsistent and this is why?
Yeah. So, there have been some projects that we have worked with. So in marketing, sometimes it happens that towards the end, there is like a huge pile of tasks all of a sudden. So the product is developing and you are generally like you're doing the routine stuff and it is all relaxed. But then there is suddenly a big PR that needs to happen. And there are all of a sudden new updates that happen in a span of 3 days, and you have to suddenly change a lot of things in a span of a week. So those times, sometimes I feel the burden because you are responsible for your team's output, and you know that certain things are, like, the timeline is too short to push people across different teams. And those times I can tend to get a little rusty in even those big chat groups, and I can be very blunt and all that and say like, no, we can't do this and stuff like that. At those instances, I have had these trusted people say that, why don't you calm down? We will take this conversation forward. And I think you just need to take a break. So just be off of there, calm yourself down and get back in. Until then, we will take it forward. So that happens because there have been many times when I have said like, you let this slide, I will take this burden. So it's just that's how a team works. So whenever somebody, a team functions very well when people always look for each other and they know that somebody is off, and the others proactively come and say, like, look like you're off, I'll take this over. So that is the environment I try to keep in the team. And yeah, I am very vulnerable too. I'm human, and when you have a very strong sense of responsibility, you sometimes when you are very patient about things, and when you do lose, that trigger comes, you lose it completely, right? So that's what tends to happen sometimes. Like I am patient, but when that trigger happens and I snap very badly, and that is when I want these other people to say, okay, so your fuse has gone, so take leave from there, get back when your fuse is back in.
That's when that cool white hairs of yours start to heat up a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Start to fire up.
Yeah.
What I'm taking from that is that approachability and some of those small, consistent daily actions that you take is setting up the opportunity for people that they'll share ideas with you, but more importantly, they'll raise some concerns, they'll give you some feedback, and that allows a bit of a good open conversation based on trust to course correct or to just check ourselves and unpack our blind spots, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So another thing that I have done that has worked is, so we have our professional team channel, so the work channel, which we maintain through our own team collaboration app, which is Zoho Click. So that is equivalent to Slack and Microsoft Teams, and Click is what we use for work interactions inside of Zoho. So that is our work chat group. So aside of that, WhatsApp is very popular in India. So WhatsApp is where we have all of our other conversations, the family groups, and all the other groups, friend groups, college groups, everything is on WhatsApp. So aside of the team group that we have in Click, I have created an equivalent team group in WhatsApp where we don't really talk about work. So this group on WhatsApp is a team group, but it's not any work-related conversation. It is about movies. It is about general jokes, Instagram, Reels, and whatnot that you want to talk about. And there also, if people tend to talk about work, I go and tell them that move this to Click. And if in Click people are saying like movies and reviews, I say, okay, move this to WhatsApp. So that way you have some distinction that this is work stuff and this is the other your personal stuff, and you need a mix of both. So if I don't think if we did not have that WhatsApp group, I don't think the team would have bonded as much as they have right now, because I think a lot of the bonding between the team happens on things that are more personal based, about their personality, movies they like, and where people have commonality and all that, and somehow that dribbles into work. So they have a better chemistry there. Somehow when they're working on work tasks, they tend to work better on those tasks because of that. So that is another thing that I would say has really worked, to have a separate group. In fact, I've named that group as, so we manage the marketing for Zoho One, right? So that is what we do as a team. And the Click team name for this group is Incredible Ones. So that itself is a positivity. It's not Zoho One marketing, it's Incredible Ones. So we call ourselves the Incredible Ones, and that gives a ring to the team itself. So we are the Incredible Ones kinds. And the other WhatsApp group is named Incredible Ones Unplugged. So that is so it's very simple, right? It's not like big rocket science or anything. It's just these little things that you could do that could have a profound impact. So every morning you open the team group and it says Incredible Ones. That itself is you see that name, and we are the you have that little fleeting moment of we are the Incredible Ones, and that's enough to sometimes get your spirits up.
I'm just wondering if your nickname in the group is the Big Daddy of the Incredible One.
So there are the latest name is the Incredible Boomer.
Sorry, what was that?
boomer. So have you heard about the term boomer? So there is this term boomer
You're
here.
boomer.
Yeah, so boomer is like a really, really old person who is like the Gen Z is the Insta generation and they push all these reels and all that. And boomers are people who are from this old school with white hair and conservative. So I am the incredible boomer in the team.
Well, maybe I'm halfway to boomer because I'm getting grayer and grayer by the day. So, but I prefer to look at you as a wise man with grey hair. That says to me you're approachable straight away, mate.
Okay.
You mentioned the word proactive
Yeah.
a few times during the course of the conversation, being proactive.
Yeah.
What would you say to leaders out there that think they can talk to their team and say, hey, my door's always open, I'm very approachable,
Mm.
but then that's it?
Okay. Oh, you mean like they say that, but then after that, it's just nobody is approaching them, and it's just
There's not much more deliberate action about
okay.
being approachable. They're just saying they're approachable and my door's always open. And then they wonder why people maybe don't approach them.
Yeah, I mean, so, but just by saying that you are approachable doesn't mean that now I'm sitting here and I'm waiting for people to knock on my door. So I think if they are not knocking on your door and nobody is coming in, it's time for you to start moving and just, not just go and ask people how they are doing, how are things going on, and how is work, how is family. So usually I start with how are things in your life before I even get to the work conversation. So I put people first all the time. So that is how I ask them, how are you doing? How is your health? Did you see that recent? If I know that somebody is a cricket fan, I do indulge in a little bit of a cricket chat with them first. And then I'll get on to, okay, so now that we have spoken about that, how is work? So that's how...
What you were doing to me wasn't it as a podcast as you were buttering me up with cricket. You knew I liked cricket.
Yeah. So, see, that's what, right? So I think what connects people really is all those things, like your personal interests, your likes, your hobbies, and what movies you like, which directors you like. Those are the things that actually connect people at a more closer level. Maybe work does connect people also when two people are passionate about a particular thing. Like, for example, someone in my team likes to also, she's a content writer, but she would also like to become a graphic artist. She draws a lot on paper and pencil, and when we do those product banners, I've noticed that she tries her own rough sketch on the side. So I noticed that, and then I said, like, so looks like you like to, and the other people said, like, she looks like she likes to draw. And her mentors, they came and told me that why don't we get her a digital pad so that she can develop this particular talent. She draws really well. And then I said, oh, yeah, sure, put in a request and we'll get that approved. And she now has a drawing pad. And there is another visual designer in our team. So he is also passionate about drawing and all. And we make them interact with each other and try get him to work with her on what else she can do in terms of improving that particular talent. And since I go and approach her and ask her about how is her drawing going and all that way I convey that I'm also having a watch. I know that you're good at this and people have told me that you're good at this. So I came to inquire about that. So I think continuously, if you show people that you are paying attention and you're not somebody who has this cubicle where you go and lock yourself and you will open your door for them to come there. So that doesn't work that way. So you will have to consciously, proactively show that you are interested and you're observing people, their talents, and you are looking out for them. And you would like to use their talents towards how best it can fit the work task. So that's what continuously needs to happen. It needs to. So if a leader is saying that I am approachable and nobody is coming to them, and it's time for that leader to go on his own walks and ask people, pick up small conversations. I would start with family conversations or friendly conversations first, and then just make that transition to what shall we do about this work task? So that's what that works for me at least. So people first. So if you just go to someone and say, "What about this work? Why isn't this going?" and you just all of a sudden abruptly go and ask that, it's like, okay, so you don't care about where I am at or what I'm doing, and you just want this work to be done. Okay, so this is what that is not a place that I would like to be in. So sometimes I personally feel that I tend to be a little too friendly sometimes, which is something that I have been aware of, but that's okay for me. So I know that I can switch from being friendly to taking people into a room and saying that I am friendly and all that, but looks like your efforts are missing. So that I can transition to that anytime. So that needs to happen, because at the end of the day, business needs to run. You are accountable for your tasks and all that, and it cannot be always unplugged, right? So unplug needs to be there, but that unplugging is so that you are at ease to do better work. So the balance needs to be there.
Absolutely. Is that something you felt you've always done well, that ability to be that approachable person, but also have those tough conversations when needed? Or if you felt you haven't always been great at those, what have you done to get better at that and to find that balance?
Actually, there is, when I think about tough conversations, I don't want to, of course, I don't want to name people and all that, but there was a time when I had, I had 3 female employees reporting to me. It's something that I also try to keep a watch on, having a balance of male and female employees. So if it's tipping either way, I try to then balance out the team thing. So there was a time when there were 3 female employees reporting to me, and see, whatever it is, there is this thing about male and female psychology, right? So that we all know. And I found it really hard because all 3 of them were very strong individuals in their own right as women. And I was finding it hard sometimes to figure out how do I get these 3 people to tone down. And there were these heated exchanges happening every time. And I used to come to office and I used to find that there was this air of thickness and something has happened. And I'll be like, what, is there something wrong? Should I know anything, like somebody dead or something? And then they would say, no, there was this conversation and we tried to talk it out. And I found that this is going out of hand. So I called all 3 of them to a room and I said, let's agree that there are these frictions there and this cannot keep going on. So what I want you people to do is, now that I'm here, just open up your cans and talk whatever you want and I'll try to pitch in. I won't believe that they went with each other for about an hour and a half and I couldn't utter a word. I was just sitting there and, oh my God, there is so much that has been boiling up. And I didn't talk. I was just like, okay, all right. And after they had poured out all that they can, and there was this moment of calm after all of that, then I said, okay, so I have listened to all of you now. So it looks like you have poured out all that you can. So here is a summary of what I feel can be done moving forward. And I hope the situation will be far better from now on. I spoke for probably just 10 minutes at the end. Otherwise, it was just me in that room, in my presence, looking at what all was going on between them openly. That was a very hard thing to go through, but it was not too much of my effort at all. It was just open up. I am here. I want to also view this and take it all in, so that I know what is going on between all 3 of you, and this is fine with me. And it was hard to take all of that in and to realize that there has been so much of friction that has been there that I did not know about, but that's it. So after that, actually, it helped all 3 of them to work a lot better with each other, because they had just poured whatever they can in that 1 hour marathon. So that was those are hard parts, but then you have to go through them. That's something you have to do, and it's again, the effort of me conversing there was not much at all. It was more about just listening to those people talking to each other and knowing that this is what is the friction about. So that's all it is. And knowing that can be hard in yourself because you're actually sucking it all in, and it somehow comes to you also, but at least you're aware of it now. And that awareness will help you to next time interact with those three. You know that this is what is going on, and by naturally it comes out of you in a better way when you interact with them. That knowing this, now I can talk in a better line of understanding that this is what needs to be done. So that's one thing that it's still in my memory. So as I talk to you, I'm going back to that room and looking at them talking to each other.
I hope that twitch doesn't come back, mate. Thinking back to those things.
Yeah.
It does speak to something really, I think, really important around listening. You mentioned that word a couple of times. In that example, great example you've shared, listening was obviously very, very important to the process. Generally, though, how important is that skill of listening, a leader listening, related to being more approachable?
Oh, yeah, very, very important. So I think listening not only to be a leader, but overall in your life for you to be a better person, I think listening is a very important skill that you need to nurture. And I think to that I would credit my mother. I think my mother is a very, very, very patient person. Like I sometimes like, how can you be this patient? Like so many things going on, and what are you made of? So like that. So that's where I think I got a lot of patience. I think came from her in terms of my own parenting, and she used to listen like crazy. Like she talks very less, and she just listens to you pouring out, and I think that's a very important trait, and it's not at all to be underestimated. I think if you are somebody who is used to talking a lot, it can be difficult for you to be a listener because you like to talk a lot. I think I like to talk a lot, but I can just stop and just keep listening for 1 hour also without uttering a word. So it's just that switch that needs to happen. Like now I turn off, and that's all. And irrespective of how the conversation proceeds with the people that you are listening to, I think you just need to have the discipline to not interject and even say in the like, go on. Are you done? Like you are not done. Please go on. So that's something that I think it's not difficult to develop. So it is you start something, and over time you will also learn that skill. And it's very, very important to be a listener more than anything else. So if you need to give the right clarity to your team and keep your team clear about your purpose, more has to do with you listening to all of the others on what is going on, so that you first get that clarity. And that will come only when you listen to all that is going on. And after you have that clarity, you need to synthesize it and express it to your team in as clear ways as possible, so that it is people know that so this is where we are at, and this is what we have. So listening, and 200%, it needs to be there.
What advice would you give to those listening or watching today that resonate with that and think, yeah, actually, I need to be better. I need to improve my listening. What advice would you give them to set them on the path?
What advice? So I have found that listening to podcasts has helped me in many ways to listen to people also, because you have no dearth for podcasts and YouTube videos and whatnot. So any topic that interests you, I think if you just put on a headphone or when you go to sleep, just put it on and just listen to that conversation, and then take that listening ability also when you're going to your team, and it does help you. So I have recently developed the habit of listening to 2 or 3 podcasts. I mean, I'm not very regular, but whenever I'm driving, whenever I go to bed, or whenever there is a little bit of time waiting somewhere, so what I do now is like turn on a podcast with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever it is, and just take it all in. And I think that way what you could do is instead of thinking about yourself as somebody who is part of a conversation, the moment you decide to listen, think that you're actually watching a podcast between two people and you're listening to them. So that helps in putting that perspective of I am not part of this conversation for now. This is just a podcast that is going on live, and let me listen to that for some time.
I like it, mate. I like it. As far as your own leadership, what sort of feedback have you received from people you've worked with around what makes you so approachable?
Okay, so there have been a lot of people who have said that it's really, I have been in another team, that people who have moved from other teams to my team, and they have said to me personally that it's such a difference from what I used to face there to what the environment is here. I used to be so hesitant in even expressing some of my ideas before, but here I feel that I can just walk to you, and even if it is the most stupidest thing, I feel comfortable to just say that this is what I have in mind. What do you think? So thank you for that. So that I have got from a lot of people. But in terms of there have been some negative feedback also. People say that sometimes you tend to be a little too friendly and you always keep giving endless benefit of doubt to certain people. We don't understand why you keep on backing this person up, and it is very clear that this is not happening. So, but that's how I am. So I personally feel that everyone deserves a lot of benefit of doubt more than anything else, because we have all grown because of committing a lot of mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, and if you are not making any mistakes at all, I think you are not actually improving. It's something wrong. If you are not committing any mistakes, there is absolutely something wrong with what you are doing, which means you are not moving up at all. You are comfortable in some place, and you're just being there if you are not making any mistakes. So that way, yeah, I do tend to give a lot of benefit of doubt to people, though I really know that some people are slacking, and I try my best to bring them up until the very end. And if I have exhausted 2-3 times this rope that I have given them, then it is time to get into the room. I say that it looks like if you are not going to buck up, then you will have to look for a different team. So that's a standard thing that I use. I don't say I'm going to fire you. You're such a stupid person. I don't get personal at all. I just say, for this team, this has been the case. I have given you these 3. So I have everything to support myself, right? It's not like this is the first time I'm calling you here. I've already been telling you that you have to bring yourself up to speed. But we are at a point where this has not happened. And it is the most polite thing to say that it would be good for you to find another team. So that is me conveying that maybe our team and our work is not in alignment with what you would like to do. That might be the case, because of which you are not able to perform, which can really be the case. So then you say that if you are not able to bring yourself up to speed, maybe there is another team that is better to you. That's what I'm trying to convey. Not that you are a stupid person or you are not intelligent and things like that. So that's not how it works. So it's at least that's what I believe in. That it is very possible that the team environment is good and you have all these unplugged chats and everything, but at the end of the day, somebody who is actually interested in sales or actually interested in product development, they just ended up being in marketing to explore how this works out for them, and over time they find out that this is not where I want to be. So that is very possible. And that is why they are not able to do certain things in the team, irrespective of all the support and stuff, which means that you maybe need a career shift, and this is probably not the functional team that you are supposed to be in. So that is actually time for you to move to a different team. That has happened also. So there has been times when people have said like, everything is good in this team, but I don't feel like I'm doing my best. And there have been people who have said that I would like to try something different. That's fine. So there is nothing that is good, in fact, that now that you have some clarity on where you want to be, maybe you can make way for somebody who will be more interested in filling that spot. So,
And it also speaks to the value of approachability, doesn't it? If they're feeling like this, but they're seeing you not as an approachable leader,
yeah.
then wouldn't even come to you. They'd just sort of vote with their
Yeah,
feet.
so this is nothing to do with the ego of the person, or it's not the case that because somebody suddenly wants to leave the team, I am a bad leader. So that's not how it converges. The team just didn't work out. That's about it. So you are in this team. This is a marketing team. Maybe you are not set for marketing. You have explored how you can perform here, and it seems like it is out of place. So, which is why you need to find another place. So there is nothing to do with the people in this team are bad, or this guy is bad, so I'm not able to do the right job. That is not what it is. So it's just, I think a lot of people tend to take it as a ego thing that somebody, I gave you all this, I gave you all this thing in the team, when you want to leave. So that's not how it works, right? It's you want to be in a team because you love to be in a team. Not just like. In fact, I would tip it to love to be in the team. So that is how I would like to keep the team environment. I would like people to say that I love to work in this team rather than simply say I like to work in this team. That is a huge distinction between love and like, right? So if somebody comes and asks me, do you love your wife? And I say, no, I like my wife. That will be the end of the day. So, yeah. So it's like that. So I try my best to keep the environment like that. And even these people who have left my team to move on to other teams, even today we have conversations when we bump into each other. I ask them, how are you doing now? And some of them even say that now I think I have found my grounding, and I feel that I'm contributing a lot better. So that I'm happy for them, because you finally found a place where you feel satisfied that you are able to contribute. That is what is important. So everyone needs to feel satisfied that they are contributing to the higher cause in some way. So individually. So, and that's it's to do with, we are a team. We are all here for the business, and we have to do our tasks for the business to grow. That is our duty. And we all have our individual talents. We all have our own individual personalities, and we try to match our talents and personalities to do those tasks that will drive the business. So that's what this whole thing is about. So if something is not working out, it's probably because it doesn't match your personality and your talents, and nobody needs to take it very personally. So it's okay, you don't find this good here. Let's see if you can find your grounding in another place, and we still have our friendship or our relationship. Whoever has moved, nobody has a grudge or anything. Everyone that has moved from the team, maybe that's not a lot of people actually. In the last 14 years, maybe 2 or 3 people have moved to other teams, but they are all in good terms with me, and I'm still interested in how they are doing and whether they are doing good, and is there anything still I could do in terms of being a listener if they want. Sometimes that also happens even now. So that's how it is. I'm happy to be a listener.
We've talked a lot about approachability and leaders being approachable. Let's flip this coin and start to bring this home. What does an unapproachable leader look like, and what impact do they have in the workplace?
Wow. That's the unapproachable leader, like I used to say, are generally people who like barking down at their people. So they generally don't like to take responsibility for the failures, and they would rather like to be the front person when things are going good. But when things are going bad, then it's upon the team and not them. I think that is surely a no situation for me. At least I wouldn't respect somebody like that. And if I find somebody like that, with them also, I don't mince my words. I sometimes have these situations where if I find that some people in my team are being exploited by some seniors in other teams, I watch for some time to see whether my own people can handle that situation. But if I see that it is getting out of line, I directly go to that person and say, what you're doing is not right, and I don't like this being done to my people. And if you want to iron it out, then I am here to talk it out to you. So leave them aside out of this. So that's something that I also do, which gives faith in my team that if something is going to go wrong, they know that I will be there. Like sometimes even if I know that my people have done something wrong, I will accept to somebody else that yes, something has gone wrong here, but let's not be too hard. You have been hard enough. You have told them that this is wrong. But if you're crossing a line and going to keep barking, then I think it's time for me to come there and say that it's enough done and we have to move on from here. So that's that is an unapproachable leader is someone where in a team people are always fearful of what will this person say if I go and express this idea? What will this person say that I tried this and it hasn't worked out? Fear of failure, right? Fear of failure is a very bad place to be in. So if you are going to be fearing failure all the time, that means that you are never going to be able to come out of that channel at all, because how are you going to learn if you don't fail and make mistakes? So that is, I wouldn't want to be in a place like that. And if I am in a place like that, I would move out of that team in a jiffy. So that, unfortunately, I have not been in such situations in my own. Zoho is a place where you wouldn't really find such unapproachable leaders, because it trickles down from the top. So if you take our CEO, right, Sridhar Vembu, so he is the CEO of the company. I mean, he has become really big and he's celebrated in India and even become a very popular personality here. But despite all of this, he still does these Friday town hall meetings in an app called Connect that we have. Every Friday, as best as possible, he opens up to a meeting where people can post questions anonymously. So if you are afraid to ask a question with your identity, he has allowed people to ask questions anonymously on the town hall group, and he personally sits for almost 1 to 2 hours taking each question, answering even very frivolous questions sometimes. So there are even questions some people are saying that the food served in the lunch hall, it seems too spicy. Can we do something about it? So this is something somebody actually posts in the town hall, and he even addresses that, like, okay, so you feel this way, so I will ask the food admin to look into this matter and all that. And I sometimes used to feel, man, do you even have to answer these questions? And he's humble enough and open enough to take any question, anything. It's not just like all, but of course he does sometimes say that I would like people to ask me some more sensible questions, business questions, and all that. He does also express that, because sometimes it is all of these kind of questions, but he still is patient to come and spend the 2 hours of time every week amidst all of the other things that he's doing. And that is a standard that he sets, right? So, and he also said, so do these town halls like I'm doing town halls with all people at large. I would recommend all of the individual teams to conduct town halls wherever the size is large with your own teams. And that is happening. So people are following that. So because of that standard set at the very top, you will find that at least in Zoho, those unapproachable managers are like, you would just count them in your hands. It's that's how the culture of Zoho is, and that is the reason why I am in my 14th year in Zoho. So that should be a reason why people. So there are people who have been in Zoho from the very very beginning, like 26 years, 25 years, so and 20 plus years. You would find people like that, and that is a testament to the kind of culture that the founder has maintained all these years. So you could say that a founder of a company is more of a guardian of the soul of the company, right? So that is how I think founders should be. And if the founder is the guardian of the soul of the company, then the leaders of the team are guardians of the soul of the team. So that is how it works out. And as long as that soul is maintained, which is the culture of the company, I think the company is set for success because we are open to failures.
Guardian of the soul of the company or the team. I love that. And such a great example. Again, you're talking about leadership from the top and setting an example of approachability, which is what we talked about today. And I would even say that the variation of questions right down from the spicy food to more top-end business-related questions, that to me speaks to a level of approachability in that people feel comfortable in putting some sort of trivial questions forward like that, or what some may perceive as trivial questions.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So some may perceive it as trivial, but maybe to that person it really, really matters. Maybe he is very riled up because of the spiciness. It is causing him uneasiness, and so he's not able to work. So that can extrapolate that way. So you can't sometimes ignore certain things that this is trivial until you have listened it out. Maybe if you pull that person out and listen to him, like, why do you actually post this here? You might have a longer stories to say that this is what happened. So that's where again listening like it comes back, right? So you need to listen before you actually make judgments. You can't just because you saw something somewhere, you can't just judge right there. Like that might be a lot going on behind the scenes. That it's always better to say that even when you feel judgmental, I think you can keep it in your head and then maybe go to that person and say, so you posted this, so can I know a little bit more about it? And maybe something comes out of it, then your judgment will change and then you are at peace. So yeah, at least that is the example that I am very impressed with how he does these town halls like every Friday. I mean, given that there's only a team of 14, 15, and even I find it hard sometimes to pull people into a room and listen to them, and for a CEO to do that company-wide and take questions ranging from food to I had a breakup recently and I'm feeling depressed and the fan is running too fast and whatnot. So it's really impressive. So that inspires me. Like, so if this guy who is so successful is able to do this, so I should be able to do this at some level in my team. So that is what I take from it.
Must have been an Aussie complaining about spicy food in India, wasn't it?
Yeah, so all these, that happens. So all the regional team people that come to India, I mean, India, we are going to make food that suits our taste buds. So when they come and they sometimes take it as a challenge, what is the big deal about the spice? And then they take a couple of spoons and they're watering all the way. And
mate, I just love the fact I was lucky enough to spend a bit of time in food halls in organisations in India, and I just think it's fantastic that you get lunch, mate. I don't care how spicy it is, just be given lunch. That's a great privilege in my books.
Yeah, so even in food, if you look at India in terms of food also, the varieties of food are so many. Like you won't find anywhere else in the world the sort of varieties of items that you can find in India. So diversity in India is everywhere. Like I drive some 20 kilometers away from my city, and the way people talk my own language, Tamil, the dialect, the accent changes. Like even in 20, 30 kilometers, it changes. So that is how diverse we are. And it's unbelievable sometimes even to think that with this kind of diversity, we are able to thrive as a country. So that I think is there in our DNA from when we are born, the embracing diversity and being able to work with different kinds of people. So, and really, it's good.
It's a fascinating conversation to have on another day, mate.
Yeah.
We'll stay where we are, but let's get to our final question, which is normally our final question. I think I might even have one more after this, but what's this one thing that's helped you become a more approachable and confident leader?
What is the one thing? Can there even be a one thing when it comes to be an approachable leader? Okay, so I would say I always love to push the one thing. I would say the one thing that is that to take away is there is actually no one thing that one can simply focus on to be an approachable leader. Yeah, there cannot be like a one thing.
You must be a marketing guy. You've got around that question really well.
So, yeah, that is the one thing that is to take away from that there cannot be a one thing when it comes to be an approachable leader. So there are many things that go into it. So you need to be a good listener. You need to be consistent with your personality so that you come across as a person with integrity. You need to be somebody who is good at analyzing conflicts that are there between people. So you need to be a good observer. So I could just go on with a list of things that needs to happen to be an approachable leader. So the one thing to take away is there is no one thing that you need to focus on. At least 3 or 4 different important traits to be an approachable leader.
I love it, mate. I love it. Good answer. What is now the last question? What I'm just interested to know is that we talked movies, and we didn't mention Bollywood, but we talked movies earlier about on the Unplugged channel. Do they still cut the movie at halftime or about midway through, have an interlude and do the national anthem? Does that still happen in India?
Oh yeah, so yeah, the intervals in movie, it still happens in India, and the national anthem is not played during the interval, it's played before the start of the movie. So before the movie begins, there is the national anthem, and then the movie runs, and even if the movie has only a runtime of an hour and 15 minutes, you will always have an interval block at midway of the movie where people go out to refill their Cokes and popcorns and come back for the second half. So yeah, I know that surprises a lot of people who come here and like interval block.
Very. I wondered what was going on, mate. I forgot the national anthem was at the start, but then that interlude is like, what's happening here? Everyone's getting up. Is it like the movie's not finished? Surely it doesn't finish there.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of directors actually plan for the interval block sequences for the Indian movies. So they want to leave the audience still latched on to the movie when that interval happens, right? So they focus on, this is going to be our interval block sequence. So we need to keep in mind that this will be the interval block sequence and it needs to have that punch. Otherwise, by interval time, we don't want people to say, oh, let's just get off and this is drab stuff.
Always needs a hook, mate. Always needs a hook. Yeah. Hari, it's been, again, for me, a fantastic conversation today. I really appreciate your level of vulnerability and your consistency around your delivery. And obviously, there's been lots and lots of examples of where you live approachability, you do all these tiny little things then each and every day and you're deliberate about it. So that's definitely come through the conversation. It's been a while since we've been able to get you on, but very glad we've been able to do that today. Thanks for being a fantastic guest on the Cultural Leadership.
Oh, thank you, Brendan. I really enjoyed this also. It didn't feel like I was sitting in a spotlight and all that, and I had a lot of fun and reliving some of those moments and getting myself back through my journey. So I love this also. Thank you for having me here.
On the journey of becoming a confident leader, you have to be an approachable leader. These were my 3 key takeaways from my conversation with Hari. My first key takeaway: confident leaders put people first. They create connection by understanding their stories and leveraging their skills. Proactively showing interest and taking the time to learn about individuals. This approach not only strengthens relationships, but also harnesses the power of each person's talents to enhance performance. My second key takeaway: confident leaders seek out their blind spots. They're consciously trying to figure themselves out all the time. They invite input from trusted sources and openly share personal failures. This demonstrates a genuine openness to receiving feedback and enhances a leader's approachability. My third key takeaway: confident leaders develop approachability consistently. Their moods are balanced, never up and down. They're consistent with their decisions and their interactions. They don't just say, "My door is always open," and leave it at that. They take consistent action every day to improve their approachability. So in summary, my 3 key takeaways were: confident leaders put people first. Confident leaders seek out their blind spots. And confident leaders develop approachability consistently. Let me know your key takeaway on YouTube or at thecultureofleadership.com. Thanks for joining me, and remember, the best outcome is on the other side of a genuine conversation.